Welcome to another Sagebrush Soul video. In this video, I wanted to recycle an old video I did of a refresh of a Generac GP 3250 generator. I started by just replacing the wheels, and then it got completely out of control with a custom paint job. The first thing I did was replace the cheap plastic wheels that had broke. I bought some new steel rimmed wheels with bearings. When I went to install them, I found out they were too small for the axles, so I removed them, chucked them up in my drill, and after about 20 minutes of turning with the file, I was able to get the new wheels on. My original intention was to just freshen up the tank with spray paint, but of course I had some automotive paint on the shelf, so it was game on. I started by removing the tank, fuel tap, then the spacers and grommets that make up the tank mounts. To get rid of the old decals, I used an aerosol adhesive remover. A lot of people claim that this stuff doesn't work for removing stickers, but the key is to get rid of the decal material first, then spray it on to remove the glue residue. It's in the name, adhesive remover, not decal remover. You're welcome, 3M. I am available for sponsorship. Next, I sanded the tank. If you too are insane and decide to do a project like this, remember sanding creates static electricity and can ignite gas fumes. So make sure that the tank is completely empty and let it air out for a few days before sanding, or fill it with water while you're sanding. I let it air out and took my chances of a big bang as opposed to possible corrosion from the water. Before priming, I wiped the tank down with a wax and grease remover. Here again, I was just going to paint the tank and polish up the frame, but I decided if I was going to all that trouble, I just as well paint the heat shield and generator vent too. I started with an epoxy primer, followed by a primer sealer, then I dry sanded it with 600 grit. I prefer dry sanding primer to wet sanding. In my opinion, they both make a mess, but I prefer a dry mess and I like the final finish better too. I laid down 2 coats of black and then I put down 2 coats of automotive clear. Then I wet sanded it with 800 grit. This is where the project got real out of control. Everything else was over the top, so why not do some custom airbrush work on a $300 generator? I masked off a couple of areas on the tank that I thought could use some personality. Then I laid down some leftover Sherwin-Williams waterborne silver paint that I brought home in a spray cup from HS Customs. I dusted on a light coat of wicked orange colors over the silver. I used a gear stencil that my brother got me for my birthday and started with Createx transparent brown. To give it depth, I added drop shadows with Wicked Colors black. I finished up by giving the gears a little more character with more transparent brown. I gave all the tins a clear coat, and then it was time to address the frame. With everything else looking all shiny, I couldn't just leave the frame or even rattle can it. So I removed the engine and generator, and I did it the hard way. If you ever need to do this for some kind of service, or if you too have a painting addiction, the removal from the sides is much easier than out the top. Oddly, I can see that watching the video now, but standing above it, I thought that was the way it must be done. I went through all the steps on the frame that I did with the tins. The control panel, I decided to just clean and scuff and give it a clear coat, and that really freshened it up. Then it was time to put it all back together and shoot a before and after montage. The paint is now about 5 years old. I hauled it several hundred miles on a rack behind my camp trailer, and it's been outside in all seasons, and other than a little fading of the orange on the airbrush sections, the paint has held up extremely well, and it does serve as a great conversation piece. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments and please subscribe.